I try to stay out of politics on this channel because I feel like learning a language is about communication with people and not about supporting any type of government's views. But at the same time, I occasionally get people asking questions in the YouTube comments or in my email list. Ari, is it still worth it to learn Russian in 2025? And in this video, I want to give you like the three main reasons why I feel it's still worth it and why it can still be worth it for you. So the first reason is because language is about communication with people. And the fact that because I've learned Russian, I've been able to communicate with so many people from different backgrounds. Like, for example, here in the Netherlands, there are now lots of Ukrainian refugees, which often tend to speak Russian. Because I know Russian, I've been able to communicate with them at such a deeper level. Now, I tried learning a bit of Ukrainian, but I have not really been able to find a good course. So if you know one, write it in the comments. At the same time, I feel like, if I would have tried to communicate with them in English, we would not have been able to go as deep as we could have otherwise been. Because knowing that, even if you know just like 50 or 100 words and you spend a bit of time getting interested in their culture, their heritage of people, then I feel like they will accept you and they'll be open to you at such a deeper level compared to if you just try to speak English or any other language with them. Now, at the same time, I've also spoken to some pro-war Russians, and it's also interesting to hear their perspective. And I've also spoken with lots of Russian expats who moved from Russia to the Netherlands or to Europe in general in search of a better, more stable life. The Russian language has become so much more useful outside of Russia because lots of Russian speakers have moved there. Like in Europe, it's so common for me to meet Russian speakers on the street. Like the Russian communities, the stand-up community here in the Netherlands has grown a lot. I sometimes get ads on Instagram for like people saying like, if you want to do a renovation in your house, there's like this entire company like speaks Russian that you can do that. There's also lots more Russian speaking events. And this is not just a Europe thing. Here's just the most profound. But even if you're like, I was in Bali, lots of Russian. I was in Thailand, lots of Russian. Turkey, the same thing. And lots of other places like Russian people or Russian speakers have moved all over the world, even in the US at some places as well. So knowing Russian has in a way become a more useful language now. So the second reason is more of a geopolitical one, because if we take a look at Russian-speaking countries, and predominantly Russia, of course, it is, in terms of resources, it is a very, very rich country. Like there's so much metals, there's so much fossil fuels, and also because of global warming, like the places of farmland, like Siberia is becoming a place much more beneficial for farming. And currently, there are lots of countries who are benefiting from this by trading with Russia, for example, China, India, and the West not really. Okay, so currently, Russia is not like the most investment-friendly country, especially if you have a Western company or if you work in a Western company. But at a certain point, the war will end. And I feel like, there's a saying from this Warren Buffett said, like, buy the dip. Currently, like there's a negative sentiment towards investing in Russia or doing business with Russia. But because of the fact that it's such a rich country, at a certain point, things will go back. At a certain point, the political situation has got to become more stable, right? It's going to become more unstable. There might be Third World War, and then no one cares about any of this anymore. So if you learn Russian now, you might be in a better situation in the future to, once things clear up, to do business with Russian-speaking countries. So the third reason is because Russian just sounds cool. I think that it's not us choosing a language to learn, it's the language choosing us. Because in high school, I had French and German, and I hated it. I didn't feel like it was worth any learning. Then I lived in Spain for a bit, learned some Spanish, and I also know a bit of Polish and Turkish because I've been to those countries. And I just learned like some fun phrases in order to just get the locals laughing. But none of those languages hooked me as much as Russian did. And I feel like if you're going to learn, expose yourself to a couple of languages and then pick the language that hooks you the most. Because of course, like there's some people that are saying like, you have to learn Chinese because Chinese is going to be the most beneficial language to know in the future. We cannot all learn Chinese. Like everyone has to learn some languages and people are going to learn different languages. And if you learn the language that hooks you, that interests you, you're going to like, at such a faster rate, you are going to learn that language because you really want to. Whereas if you're like, well, my uncle said that Chinese is going to be the language of the future, so I'm just going to learn Chinese. You're not going to have this intrinsic motivation to learn it, and your progress is going to be like this with the time invested. And if you learn something that you really want to, your progress is going to be much faster. And if you're watching this video still at this point, then there's a big chance that Russian is the language that you find very cool. If you quickly want to learn a lot of Russian words in a short period of time, check out my 750 Russian English cognate list. Link is in the description below.